Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video. This is going to be an interesting video for me to make because with all of the news of customers don't want EVs and they only want plug-in hybrids, this will be a bit of a ode to plug-in hybrids and kind of maybe an explanation of why I hate plug-in hybrids, even though I've owned one for 13 going on 14 years now. Yes, I still have my 2015 Chevrolet Volt. This replaced my 2011 Chevrolet Volt. Yeah, I want to kind of talk about the Chevrolet Volt because I don't know how much longer I'm going to have it, right? And part of that is, I recently lost a family member and, I just have too many vehicles, but at the same time, I'm kind of phasing out any reliance on gasoline or fossil fuels at all. First things first, though, this car's been sitting for a very long time because I haven't needed to drive it. I just haven't needed it. My Bolt EV is rock solid. So I'm sure that the tires are a little bit low, so I need to go pump those up. But I wanted to bring you along because there's another real issue with the plug-in hybrid EVs that people don't really talk about. All right, well, I just replaced the battery in here, so this should be good. And I also should note that, see, it's plugged in right now. But, oh, okay, well, then now you get the charm and the size. Hey, and look, it's saying 36 miles. So, all right, so there was just the dead battery in the remote. This, fuel maintenance mode. So here's the thing. If you don't use your fuel, it becomes stale. The car will burn off half your gas tank automatically. So this is why, I was going to say, for me personally, this car, 36 miles, that doesn't even get me to the grocery store, let alone to the grocery store and back. And then so I'm going to be relying on gasoline. But at that point, for me, why did I go through the expense of having a plug-in car when I could have just had a much cheaper hybrid car with, similar lifetime fuel economy? If I go here, there you go, lifetime fuel economy of 60 miles to the gallon. I'd probably be getting 50 in a Prius. So what did I gain? 10 miles to the gallon? Not all that compelling for a car that essentially should be all electric. But if you do are able to stay all electric, well, what's going to end up happening is eventually you're going to have to burn off this gas anyway because gas goes bad. So unless you are someone who has a very specific use case of 30 or less miles of driving in a sitting, and every weekend or every other weekend or maybe every third weekend you go on 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 mile drive, if that's your specific use case, this might be the perfect car for you. Otherwise, if you can plug in at home, you are better off with an electric in almost every case. And if an electric doesn't serve your needs because of your driving habits, then you're probably better with a mild hybrid. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I'm going to need to pull this car forward and pump up the tires. Let's see. Oh, yeah, radios. I got to get used to the buttons. So here's all the notice. And yeah, see, it's already saying one of my tires is at 27. Another one's 27. I know they're low. Oh, this is just going to go through individually. And then, oh, that's the other thing. Oil change, right? So oil change. All right, one of my tires is at 33. So yeah, it's gotten colder, so I need to pump them all up. Well, I have it here. Yeah, this is the one issue if I do a trade-in on this. Someone in the family decided to, if you ever wonder how a Volt does against an F-150 trailer hitch, I'll tell you, not very well. I've got some equipment in here, my A to Z. This is the J1772. There's actually a privacy cover for this hatch, but as you'll notice, this is a pretty decent sized hatch. That's one of the big benefits about the Volt, is just how much you can squeeze in here. I have actually put a bed down here. That center thing will pull up, and you can put these seats, they fold all the way flat. Ugh, if I can get it, and you can actually put a decent sized mattress back here. And you can do car camping, which is one nice thing about the Volt. All right, so that's good enough for now. These pressures will come up a little bit as I'm driving. Yeah, and one of the other things, that's what I was going to note. It's kind of nice because this didn't start running the engine. Last time it did, so I think that was the engine maintenance mode. But it looks like the stale fuel is just waiting for you to drive, but I am stuck in gas mode. I cannot go to the battery yet. I don't usually reset these trip. You know, you notice they're almost the same. And yeah, let's get ready to leave. Oh, and I almost forgot my trusty charge point and NRG RFIDs. Those will come in handy at EVgo. And then one thing, you know, I'm noticing a bit of a smell. Which again could just be because things were sitting, you know, and it's just kind of that dirty gas smell. Oh, there you go. No wonder I couldn't see anything out of my rear view mirror. But then the other thing is, like, I do see some power coming from the battery to supplement the engine power, and that's really crucial too, because because this car, and this is one of my criticisms of plug-in hybrid electrics, is they're a bit of a dog when the battery runs out, because there's just no way to properly size the gas engine so that it could fully power the vehicle and still sort of meet the criteria that you would need for a plug-in hybrid. Essentially, you run out of space. It's not just weight, right? You run out of volume, because gasoline power plants are very power dense, especially like in terms of gravimetric power density and energy density, but they're actually, they're volume wise, they're pretty bad. Like they take up far more space for the equivalent amount of power, you know, more than electric does. So with a plug-in, you know, with the plug-in hybrid electric, you're having to deal with both of those volume issues. And so, yeah, we could see this is where that atmospheric river kind of came through. It looks like it came up over the road a bit, left a bit of a mess. I also don't know, going through the mountain, whether there's going to be an issue with, you know, debris on the road. But yeah, you can tell it just completely flooded across this road. They said 170,000 people without power. So, and right now, running on the engine, I'm without power too. Okay, I was gonna wait until we started heading up the hill, but this is worth commenting on right now. This is just so lacking in power right now that I'm running on the gas engine. Yeah, compared to something like the Volt EV, and the Volt EV is not like a sports car. It's just a reasonably quick hatchback sedan. Compared to that, this is just really, really struggling. And it's because this gas engine, right? I think the max power coming out of the gas engine on this version of the Volt is like 55 kilowatt, maybe 60 kilowatt, which just doesn't translate into a lot of horsepower, right? So, yeah, it's definitely underpowered. Like, to put it to you another way, my 25-year-old Ford Ranger electric it has a static or a rated power output of close to 60 kilowatt. So, and that's not peak power, that's rated power. So what it's basically, it's cruising power, and that's the max power this car has available to it. All right, well, we're doing mostly highway driving now. So this is one other thing that I was going to say, is this is the area where the Volt is really supposed to shine, right? Is in terms of, it's supposed to be a sleek, aerodynamic, low-roofed sedan. It's got a really, deep, low air dam in the front that basically scrapes on everything. But, the thing is, I just never really noticed this car to be all that efficient at freeway speeds. And I mean, in some cases you would say, well, no duh, right? Like, no car is going to be that efficient at freeway speeds. But with a battery that's like, it's literally a 10 kilowatt a 10 kilowatt hour battery in terms of what's usable, maybe 11 kilowatt hour battery in terms of what's usable, and then it switches over to the gas engine, and the gas engine itself just isn't all that efficient either, right? Like, and so they did update it later. The newer version did improve the power and efficiency of the gas generator, but it's still never like reached that point of being class-leading efficiency. And maybe that's what I should do. One of the tests that I should do is just to see exactly what the 75 mile an hour freeway speed efficiency of this car is on battery, right? Like, so just maybe preserve the battery and then hop on the freeway, set the cruise control for 75 miles an hour, just put it in pure electric, and then just see how far I can go on battery alone. So yeah, let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, because now that I think about it, I don't really know how far this car would go on a freeway at 75 miles an hour using only the battery. Because it's kind of an interesting thought experiment to me, because like I said, I know that a full battery, this has about a little shy of 11 kilowatt hours usable. And so you can kind of extrapolate from there. If you're getting 30 miles on a battery charge at 75 miles an hour off of 11 kilowatt hours, well, then you can kind of extrapolate that out and see what efficiency you might have expected in the Volt platform had GM decided to make it, or a version of it, as a pure battery electric with, say, a 50 or 60 kilowatt hour battery pack. Maybe a upscaled battery that they used in the Spark EV, so you'd also have the benefit of a 10 to 80% charge in under 20 minutes. So that would have, an interesting thought experiment. You can't turn back time, but yeah, I would love to maybe just test that out for my own curiosity. So keep an eye out, maybe a video coming soon. Nice full moon. Sutter Butte's off to the, I guess what, northeast of us. We're gonna start heading over the Sutter bypass in a minute, and I guess I'm just kind of curious to see how much water we got in the rivers and the bypass. But one of the things I was going to mention is the display here shows us how many miles we've done on battery and how many miles we've done on using the gas engine, and it gives you the actual kilowatt hours used and the gallons used. And so right now we're actually up to 27 miles per gallon for this trip, and used a 1.85 gallons of gasoline, and of course we used 1.2 kilowatt hours to go 1.2 miles, which seems a little off, but you know, it's a volt display. But really more what I'm looking at, and I think maybe I'll coin a term here and call it Petrol Prison. How much of this tank of gas do I need to burn off before it lets me run on battery again? As I recall, you need to burn off at least 50% of the gas before it will reset and let you drive on electric again. But I might be misremembering, and it might be that you also have to displace that old gas with new gas. So I might be stuck in Petrol Prison until I fill up again. So basically, I think I might need to burn half the gas in the tank, and like I said, we're only about a quarter way through right now, and also fill the tank up again before it will kick back and let me drive on pure battery electric. All right, so I don't know, it's possible that we're already out of gas jail just after the first stop. So let's see what happens when we start. Or I guess Petrol Prison. No, okay. Yeah, okay, yeah, so I should have just read it. So add fresh fuel when the tank level is half a tank or less. So yeah, I am going to have to, yeah, let's check the tires. Kick the tires. At least the TPMS on this are still working. I don't think I've ever changed them either. So these are older even than the Volt EVs, and they're still kicking. So I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, because, well, actually only about a year older now that I think about it. Maybe 2 years older than the Volt EVs. But so I still have to burn a decent amount of gas before I can actually start using, or before I can fill up, and then I can start charging again or using the battery. So let's see if we can finish up our shopping and get out of gas prison. Oh, and then here, or Petrol Prison, and then here's our efficiency so far. That's like we're under 30 miles per gallon. We've used 2.21, but you can see 2.21 is almost a third of a tank. Like I said, it's only about 9 gallons. Maybe I should do a 10% challenge in this. Get it down to, yeah, the last blue bar, and then spend 15 minutes filling up. All right. Yeah, let's burn a little bit more gas, do a little bit more shopping, and I'm not really hungry yet, so maybe I won't eat just yet. Barely made it out of Home Depot with my credit card intact. No, I didn't actually buy anything, but I'm probably better off for it. I did decide to just stop over here to check on the status. So we didn't really add too much in the way of range or miles. You know, we're still basically 1.5 miles on battery. 2.28 gallons used, but I thought I'd stop by this EVgo here, and unfortunately it looks like the here, there's actually a pretty cool, you might not even be able to see it, a pretty cool little compartment here. Probably should have just kept my badge under the sunshade like normal. So unfortunately, it looks like this might be powered down. So there's no option to use it, it looks like, which is kind of crazy because this one is the one that worked, but it had a cable cut. And then the other one is the one that didn't. So let's see. So it's recognizing that it's plugged in, but it doesn't look like there's any juice. So not sure. I guess I can mark it in EVgo's app. But yeah, this one was working before, but then had one of the cables cut. But it looks like both the cables have been replaced now, but it's still not powered up. So that's unfortunate. So I guess perhaps that is maybe a ZDX. I didn't recognize it at first. It's an Acura. I don't think they have a plug-in hybrid that you can use DC fast charging. Maybe they do. But either way, that's all that's left here. The CCS wasn't working before the last time I was here, so someone had come through and broken off the latches, which are required for CCS. There's a few different places to eat, but this was one of those things that I was noting. Kyle at Out of Spec was doing a video recently where he was driving the Lucid Air back to their headquarters in Newark, and he was talking about some of the charging stops not really, basically driving an EV making you less healthy. And this is one of those things where, if I'm going to call out a network for doing something well, I would say on the whole, EVgo is probably the best network in terms of placement, and because they really try to tie their chargers to useful businesses. I want to see what's going on here. Your vehicle is charging with C6805. Huh. So according to EVgo, the vehicle is charging. According to the car, it is not. So that is a very interesting thing. So EVgo is registering that the vehicle is charging, but yeah, so see, it's showing vehicle is charging, but I'm not seeing anything. I wonder if I need to turn the car off to see if it will connect. It did connect to the charger. And now, oh, okay. Here you go. Now it's green. That means it's charging. So, okay, there we go. So the green means it's charging. And what's interesting is essentially, so the app was telling me that it was charging. I'm probably not going to get much out of this. And then for the Volt, it's solid green when it's charging. It's blinking green when it's not. So it's really just the display that was off. And I guess for some reason or another with the Volt, I have to shut it off so that it starts the charge session. Okay, so interesting. Like I said, while it's in this engine maintenance mode, it's only pulling power, I think, from the charger and not the battery. Okay, there you see it going -1, just letting you know that power is coming back into the battery. I got my food, so I'm going to eat it now. And actually, that was a ZDX, Acura ZDX. That's the first one that I've seen. I'm not going to bother them too much right now. I guess she's talking with the police about something. Maybe had an incident here at the charger. Probably someone that didn't realize she was an EV like I didn't right as I was pulling in. But yeah, that's awesome to see a nice looking red ZDX charging at the EVgo. So like I said, I'm going to mind my own business, but yeah, so this 1 kilowatt that's coming in, this is really the reason why I don't charge the Volt on public charging. And I think it was the biggest maybe missed opportunity for GM in terms of this only has like a 3 kilowatt onboard charger. You could get like, I think it took the last year, I think 2019 of the Volt before you could get the 7 kilowatt charger, like a 30 amp onboard charger, which is unfortunate, right? Because I've always thought, okay, maybe the Volt would benefit from a DC fast charger because the battery in this can charge extremely fast. It's at least a 3C battery with active coolant. So much like the Spark EV or something, if you had CCS, you could charge up probably in just about 10 to 15 minutes and get maybe 80% of your charge. What I almost would have rather had is maybe like a 10 kilowatt or like a 9 whatever onboard kilowatt charger, where you could charge from empty to full in about an hour and a half maybe, and that would have made the AC charging on the Volt compelling enough to actually use it, right, on road trips, because otherwise you're really only charging overnight and you're only getting maybe 30-40 miles of range when you do it. But then the other factor here is, here I am at an EVgo charger charging on AC. It's a DC location, but they have an AC charger here, and I made that as kind of a joke, pulling the EVgo and the ChargePoint cards. But those are two of the only charging providers who are really actively supporting AC charging at their sites, and even then it's really only their older sites. ChargePoint a little bit more, but I almost feel like, or almost want to say, why bother, right? Because I think the other thing that held AC charging back for public charging is the power levels. Most of them were either the 16, 30, or maybe 32 amp charging, and that's just not good enough. I think if more AC charging, public AC charging, was the full 80 amps, and even if you wanted to do 80 amps with 2 plugs so it could split both ways to have 40 amps each, so I think you would have gotten a lot more traction with public level 2 charging if it would have been deployed as 80 amp, right? So basically split power, 2 plugs, both capable of 80 amps, but if they're both taking 40 amps each, I think that would be a much more compelling offering. Coast to Coast EV, we just recently did something with Pando Electric, just a session with Pando Electric talking about that, and they split power and allocate it and do load sharing, and something like that I think is perfect. I just think that it would be nice if they maybe took that system, and instead of doing NEMA 1450, maybe provided up to 80 amps load shared across multiple points. And then again, that's the other thing with the Volt is, like I said, if you're charging at 10 kilowatt, you're probably in and out of here in an hour and a half. So, all right, so I'm done eating. Little boy got his treat too. There's never enough treat for a little boy. And I realized, just by just by running the heater, I probably literally didn't gain anything out of this charging session, and that really is the sort of tragedy of the Chevy Volt's level 2 charging, is literally just running the heater is enough to offset anything that you're really going to see in terms of gains from even a level 2 charger, a 16 amp 240 volt essentially. The screen was dead. I think just swiping my card will shut down the session. So yeah, so here we go. Even now you see it's just a net 0. I believe that if I just tap this, but before I do, right, so this is what I was talking about. Yeah, there's a Togo's, a Baskin Robbins, a Chicago's Pizza, there's a Chipotle. There's other shopping here too. Technically, they listed this as under the PetSmart, and there's a Walgreens. So you have those 250 kilowatt chargers. You see the ZDX there. It's a pretty awesome looking car. You're not gonna probably go to the mall across the street. It's a busy street, but like I said, you have a few different eateries there. You have a Chipotle here, and then just around the corner, it's almost like a little cafe bistro sort of square, because just going around the corner, I know there's a pho place, and then I think there's a few other restaurants as well, or just diners or drink shops. I can't remember all of this stuff that there is, but yeah. So this complex here just has a lot of stuff going on in terms of what you can do when you stop to charge. And, you know, I think that's why I was saying my experience has been very, very different. And a lot of it is thanks to EVgo. But I would also say, you know, their charger placement is just better, right? But this is why I say, like, they really need to do better than like these. If they're gonna do level 2, do level 2 right. And then if they're gonna do like these, if they're gonna do these DC fast chargers, they need to do them right as well. And 50 kilowatt just isn't fast enough right now for even for like a dinner stop or whatever for most EVs, right? You're looking at, like, if I'm right, that ZDX, right, has like a there we go. Yeah, and I want to see, because this was what was broken off last time. Okay, they repaired the head, so these should be good. And I haven't seen this before. Sam Wu. But yeah, so even 50 kilowatt isn't going to be fast enough for like a dinner stop. You have a lot of these newer cars have like 150 kilowatt hour battery packs at this point. You're not going to be there for 3 hours. So let's see. I don't know if it ought. Oh, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, there we go. or I just finished charging. All right. Well, I just unplugged the hard way. So I did end up finishing up. And like I said, just lots of stuff around here. And this is what I'm used to in terms of charging stops, is just having options, sit down eating, healthy eating. You know, if EVgo could take this site and then add, instead of the 50 kilowatts, like the standalone 100 kilowatt units, those would make more sense. Or like what I showed in that other Chico, the other Chico site, split 350 kilowatt units would also work. So yeah, just, I mean, and this is, like I said, what I've gotten used to in terms of site amenities. So this all resets, right? So I guess maybe I didn't want to charge to full, because now this is all reset to a new screen again. So I won't see just how abysmal my charging has been, and I know that I used at least 2.28 gallons of gas, I think. But let's start heading back to the place where I'm most likely to fill up with gas, and then see if we can get out of Petrol Prison. I was gonna stop here at the Calusa Casino to fill up, but unfortunately, I don't know that I've used quite enough gas yet. Just looking at it, right, I've used another 0.83, so that would put me over 3 gallons. It's still listing me as having 167 miles of gasoline range left. You know, I guess maybe even at 33.9 miles per gallon. So, you know, I just came over here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can activate one of these chargers eventually with the Bolt EV. Obviously, I can't with the Volt because it's not CCS. But yeah, I was just gonna go over to the Winton Mini Mart and just fill up. But like I said, I need to be sure that I can actually reach or get below half a tank. And you know, there's the Tesla destination chargers here as well. That's why I brought my adapter in case I decided to stop here. But in this case, no, I think I'm just gonna need to keep driving and then fill up somewhere else. And actually this might give me an even better estimate. So I'm gonna burn through, I'm probably gonna be down to maybe a third of a tank by the time I get there. Time to get out of here. We've got a Jeep plugged in and charging on the Tesla. So yeah, let's get going. We made it to the gas station. I mean, I'm still borderline on whether I've actually burned enough gas. I think all told, we might have burnt 4 gallons, which isn't half a tank for the Volt. I can only assume that, right, it wasn't necessarily full when we started, right? Because obviously you fill up the tank somewhere and then you still have to drive it home. And then I think it might have done an engine maintenance mode in between. So who knows, we might only been running on about 8 gallons, but it does look like we're down to about half a tank now, or a little bit less. So only 149 miles of range. I was watching as we were on the freeway, the energy meter. And if I'm right, this is about 10 to 15% more efficient, the Volt is, than the Bolt EV at 75 miles an hour. So if you were to say do a magic swap and pull all of the ICE components out of this and replace it with like a Bolt EV 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, the original one, this would probably have an all electric range at 75 miles an hour of about 210 to 220 miles in current conditions at 75 miles an hour. So it wouldn't be terrible. Maybe not, you know, top spec by today's standards, but for 2015, that would have put this car way ahead of any competition. What, 4 years ahead of the Model 3? But, you know, GM chose to go, I think, a different direction with it. Instead of a 150 kilowatt electric motor in a sleek sedan with a 60 kilowatt hour battery pack, they put it in a hatchback. So we've got some healthy food options at the gas station. I got to count my ducats to make sure I have enough. And I was going to pull into that one, but wouldn't you know it, another gas pump goes down. I think this one is down too. I can't tell. There's just a cone in front of it, but I'm assuming maybe the whole center is shut down. I'm not sure, but nobody's using them, but it's not exactly busy. But again, just par for the course. Every time I go to the gas station, their pump's down. They're so unreliable. Anyway, yeah, I got to get my money and then go inside and pay. There's no plug and fill here. And one of the other interesting features of the the Volt is you have to press the fuel door, ready to refuel. And then of course, so just standard gas tank, and so prepaid cash. But the other big issue is no free lunch with the Chevy Volt. So this does have a latch, you know, so there's a limited amount of stuff that you can do while you are fueling. I've seen these at a Flying J. So you can get your kitty prints off your back window. Hyundai Ioniq 5 owners eat it up. No rear windshield wiper required when you've got a squeegee at your fueling stop. Oh, and we are done charging. Well, not quite. I need to wait for Thunder Hill to get out. Oh no, we're about to be inundated. This is the worst cleaning job I've ever done. All right, I might have to go back over this again without the camera looking. Of course, we've got to do Björn Nealon style for escape from Petrol Prison. Oh, here we go. Oh! Is that good, Björn? Is that good? All right, so here we go. Let's see. Oh crap. I only gave them 20, so I might need to actually give them more, because that's not going to be enough to fill us up, I think. All right, so I went and gave them another $4 basically, or almost enough for another gallon, and it looks like it was just going to be maybe another 2. So we were a little less than half a gallon off. I'm just gonna see if I can make it kick again. I'm probably gonna have to go back in for like 50 cents change. Yeah. Well, it's taking it. So, yeah, and can't quite get the latch to go. So it might do the full $4. I think that's going to be good enough. Um, if not, I'm out of cash and I don't really want to pay with card. So, well, maybe not. It kicked it out. Sometimes it does that with these latches, so they're not the most reliable. Anyway, I'm going to put this in, close this up, go use the bathroom, and then see if we've broken out of Petrol Prison. Oh. All right, well, the moment of truth. Did we added about 5 gallons. Cleaned this up about as best I could. Still kind of streaky. Did we break ourselves out of Petrol Prison? Oh. Let's see. Moment of truth. Woo-wee! All right, so I'm gonna turn the climate off for now. Yeah, so now we are in battery mode. So it looks like we broke out of Petrol Prison, which is great. We still have an oil change coming up. I was checking on the tire pressure. It came up pretty decently. Let's see. Okay, and as you can see, the efficiency is just not all that great. And of course, this doesn't reset when you refill the tank. It only resets when you refill the battery. And we are short a little bit. Funny enough, there is a EVgo level 2 right over there at the Black Bear. That's the one that I use. But we have a little over 40 miles to make it home. It's not freeway speed driving, so this is going to be the challenge. Can we make it? Basically, can we make it? And I might actually leave the AC or the heater off for now. I don't really need it. Little boy's got his little jacket, so we can bid this place adieu. I don't think we can make it without actually dipping into the gas again, but at least we're out of Petrol Prison, and we can head home. And I also forgot to mention too, yeah, we had crossed the 90,000 mile mark this trip, so we're still under 100,000 miles, but let's hit the road and let's just see where we are when we get back, because like I said, it'll be another 40 plus miles. So we'll be just shy of basically 100 miles by the time we get home. And it'll be interesting to see how this mileage number, this is the trip mileage number, the 33.2 miles. This is the lifetime 59.0. I think it was 59.3 when we started. And it'll be interesting to see how those numbers flip-flop. And yeah, I think I've done enough gabbing. Let's hit the road. It just feels good to, you know, have that gas anxiety done. Ooh. Unreliable, unreliable. All right, so we made it home, and actually it performed even worse than I was anticipating on electric. We only got 25.3 miles, so I think we had like a mile and a half already on electricity. So we ended up with getting maybe about 25 miles, and it's showing only 8.8 kilowatt hours used, which I don't know if it reset in a funny way or maybe it wasn't pulling climate. That was the other thing. The temperature did drop down to like, well, it was in the 30s, like 38, 39. It's 40 right now. So the temperatures did drop. I did end up having to run a climate even when I was driving on battery, just because there was too much moisture in the air, there's too much humidity, and then cooling, so I needed to be able to at least defog the windscreen. So that ate up a decent amount of energy. I don't know if maybe that's it. Maybe it didn't count toward um, the total of the battery capacity. Normally, like I said, under ideal conditions, you should have about 10 to 11 kilowatt hours of usable capacity out of a Volt battery. I suppose it's possible that it's already started degrading past the buffer, but these cars had about a 35% buffer built into them. So losing that much capacity is unlikely in 9 years, but going on 10 years, but it is possible. Either way, though, our efficiency for the trip now jumped back up to like 43.7, which is still, again, to the point that I was making earlier, it's really not better than a mild hybrid. So if you can't plug in at home, you might as well be getting a mild hybrid. And if you can plug in at home, well, I could have done this entire trip. It reset and it's showing like 98.2 miles, but that's after I had already driven, 50 or 60 miles. So I could have done this whole 150-mile loop in most modern EVs and never even broke a sweat, right? So, yeah, sure, I'm sitting with 270 miles of gas left in the tank right now, of range. And yeah, if you're going on a long trip and there's no infrastructure, this is certainly a possibility. But yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, like I said, the main purpose in this was just to knock some rust off, kick the tires, and break out of Petrol Prison. And we accomplished all of those goals, and I got some shopping done along the way, so I wasn't just wasting fuel. But like I said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to have this car. Let me know if there are any tests you want to see me do with it. Maybe I'll just do another walk around, have it cleaned up and detailed a little bit, and then do a walk around of the car, show maybe some more of the features and functionality. But like I said, this car isn't long for my possession, so let me know. But as it is, I've got some stuff to take in. The little guy is getting anxious, and yeah, it's gonna be a chilly one tonight. So keep warm and take care, and thanks for watching.